Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. I've got a massive sense of deja vu, and that is because I just tried recording this interview without actually pressing the record button, which I have now done. And I'm very pleased to be joined by two of Titan Comics' finest creators, the mighty Nancy Collins, right here. How are you doing, Nancy?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing
Excellent.
just fine.
Wonderful to meet you. And my
Same
old
here.
friend, thank you. My old friend, art powerhouse, Enid Balám. How you doing, brother?
Thank you. Please be welcome.
It's really great to see you both. And what's a real treat? If you watch this channel regularly, you'll have seen Enid on a few times with our mutual friend VE Victoria Schwab, talking about his amazing work on her Comics Universe series Extraordinary, which is a beautiful title. And Enid's gone on to great triumphant things since then. Nancy has just this amazing bank of work, from Swamp Thing to Jason versus Leatherface to Predator to Hell Come a Walking, and her own one shot Dampire Stillborn. Would you say it Dampire?
Dampier.
Dampier makes a lot more sense. Nah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you, a Texan, are telling me, an English person, how to pronounce that word, because I got it completely wrong. Dampier sounds so much better. I've been walking around saying Dampire all the time. Yeah, mate, Dampier is brilliant. I love it. But
and
so
Vampirella, right? Vampirella.
Oh yeah,
right? She had.
Yeah.
Can't beat Vampirella. Yeah,
and the Sunglasses After Dark series, the Sonya Blue series.
I'm spotting a through line throughout a lot of your published work, Nancy. And yeah, I love that pure Jim Warren goodness. Who doesn't love Vampirella? Such an audacious character. Yeah. Now, guys, speaking of audacious characters, we're here chatting because you are the creative team on the latest of Titan Comics award-winning Blade Runner comic books, the Blade Runner Black Lotus series, which everybody watching this conversation can pre-order from the links attached to the video.
Sure, please.
But guys, what can you tell me about Black Lotus? Let's start with this. Where exactly is Black Lotus in the Blade Runner timeline?
I believe it's in 2032. I believe that's. So it's after the blackout, like a half generation after that, I think. And it's definitely before the events in the most recent movie.
And I think the thing is, it's essentially, if I recall correctly, isn't this a sequel to the Black Lotus anime series?
Yeah, it's a direct sequel, pretty much.
So, guys, how much of the anime inspired you, and how much is original?
Well, I think in terms of the storytelling. There's some baseline stuff that was brought over, as part of a Bible from the anime series. But for the most part, it's been, I would say a good 75% is original ideas that I kicking around with the editors, David Manley Leach. And Jeff Connor.
Yeah. Both great blokes. David Manley Leach is one of my oldest friends, and Jeff Connor. Nobody knows more about Blade Runner than Jeff Connor. He's certainly the Absorbiscon of Blade Runner. So, what is it, Nancy? For both of you, let's start with you, Nancy. What was it that made you want to work within the Blade Runner universe?
Well, actually, they picked me.
That's always a great reason.
I've known Jeff for almost 40 years.
Wow.
I've known him since he was he published Scream Press.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, you don't look old enough to know him for 40 years. Jeff looks old enough for you to know him for 40 years. But not you, mate.
Oh, you flatter me. I owe it all to filthy living.
Don't we all? Fantastic. Enid, how about yourself, mate?
Well, I watched the movie. I rented on a VHS many years ago. A friend told me it was going to flip my mind around, and it did. It has become one of the most important and fundamental movies. In a sense, it derived to reading Philip K. Dick's work and other science fiction and cyberpunk genre books. So it very well turned my mind around into this fascinating world of AI and technological advancement for humanity. So I'm a big fan. I always wanted to work on Blade Runner. I didn't know how it will come to be. And actually I was surprised because I wanted to do the traditional, in a sense, characters, stick to what I knew, that image I had from Harrison Ford. You know, I was into that retro sci-fi, and then it will come to be this new era from Elle, which is a new replicant. I don't believe we have seen younger versions of replicants, but actually the story runs between the struggles between a memory loss of the main character and a rampant world depicted by Nancy.
And Nancy, what was important to you to portray about the world of Blade Runner with the story of Black Lotus?
I've wanted to portray what was outside the city, largely because the Black Lotus, I think the subtitle, because it's Blade Runner : Black Lotus : and then the subtitle of the actual miniseries, Leaving LA. And so she flees LA because she's basically a wanted woman. And she goes out to the desert, and we get to see how people who aren't in the city are living. And it's basically, like night and day, literally. You go from, like the constant night and rain that you see in LA, because it apparently generates its own weather due to climate change. And then you get out into the desert, and the desert's even, it's like you've got this. It's somewhat similar to Mad Max, where basically people are living subsistence, scavenging lifestyles because everything's being funneled into the cities, and gives it a very Western feel. And that's basically the so there are people living, all the people who are living out there in the deserts are basically working for energy concerns, or just trying to scavenge a way of life without having to be in the city. And it's a lot of it's actually based on stuff that I've researched about how you subsistence living in a hostile environment. You get a glimpse of what it's like in the second movie, and that's years later. So this is like an attempt, like a last-ditch attempt to try and live, somewhat hand to mouth, even in a high-tech environment. So, this LA is definitely a first world city, with, at least for the people who live above ground, above street level, and everybody else, it's very much a first world country, especially when you get outside the city limits.
I think that's very interesting, because I think it's something that has been begging to be revealed about the world of Blade Runner, and very interestingly, of course, in the
because people are leaving the whole people leaving planet. Anyone who can afford to is gone off world.
Yeah, right on.
I always I felt a sense of, do you know Blood the Last Vampire? It was a manga and an anime.
Yeah,
it came out between 2000s. Actually Elle gives me a vibe of Saya from Benkyo Tamaoki, but with a note of transhumanism. You will find other fantastic references in this book, like Desert Trials, Diesel Punk, for example. I think Nancy Collins' script sounds like some eerie, melancholic orchestra when I read it, when I try to grasp the ideas she's describing. I'm just trying to get what she's feeling through the script, and I do sense this Western and Mad Max vibe, which I'm totally toned to it. I really love those movies and stories.
Not just Western, but spaghetti Western, a very
Yeah.
specific sliver of that. And Enid's done amazing work. In fact, I asked after I did the first script, I asked the editors to send me his artwork, what he was doing, so I could better adjust the script to his strengths as a graphic artist. Because basically, if I know how my artist draws, I can try and play to that, and not, I don't want to be one of those writers who goes, and they go over the top of the hill, and then there's the Union and Confederate Army all riding on the back of dinosaurs fighting each other. I don't want to do that to my artists. So.
I think you guys are a very, very tonally very interesting team to put together. And when the guys in the editorial team were telling me, that it was the two of you, I thought, man, I can really see that working. And the pages that I've seen thus far, anybody who's watching this who's a Blade Runner fan is just going to have such a great time with it, because Nancy's voice and Enid's visuals just are beautifully complementary. We've been very lucky with the creative teams we've put together on Blade Runner, and you are absolutely knocking it out the park. And if you're a Blade Runner fan, you're just gonna love it. What have you both enjoyed the most about bringing this world to life?
I'll let Enid go first, and mull that over.
I actually love to read just a paragraph that I did, so I won't go out in the wild. I think most important thing in Blade Runner is a mirror sense of how our concerns are put into this narrative about a technological dependent society. Actually, last month, there was gossip around a Google AI that was presumably getting aware and sentient. So technological singularity is just around the corner. Quantum computing is already being used in some labs and foreseen to gain widespread momentum in the ongoing decade. There are theories about referring Gordon Moore's law, technological evolution law, that has been decreasing in growth. So pretty much we have surpassed our physical capabilities to computing components. Blade Runner is the condensation of our inner philosophical worries to bring and to mother and father a new species into this world. So that's what we're looking at. It hasn't run out of fashion. We're looking at a paradigm shift into this world, which is a brand new species, the new technological sentient species. So it's these books have been mirroring society for all these years.
Well said, mate. That's very well said.
I think the best science fiction isn't actually projecting into the future. It's taking issues, especially sociological and technological issues, which are also so often just linked together in humanity, and extrapolating them into the future. They're all cautionary tales of what don't do the be careful what you're doing, because this is what could happen. And I think a lot of the issues in Blade Runner in the overall series, and like human rights, the replicants are excellent metaphor for human rights, for whatever, whether it's an ethnic group or a marginalized subcategory, like and what is humanity, and and it also focuses on our humanity's tendency, what we do to those we consider less than ourselves.
I think that's very well said. And I think what you guys have just explained, examining these universal truths through the prism of your central character, who is this youthful person searching for identity, it's such an interesting way to approach this, again, this very rich palette, as you said, that you've been given. I think what's very interesting for me is two of the things that you've really lit on as being central to this story: climate and the world outside the city, are absolutely in the first movie almost byproducts of the narrative. They're not central to the narrative at all. It's, as you say, the climate is texture, and in reality, there are no scenes outside the city. And in the original release of Blade Runner, the scenes you see at the end of the movie, they're not even shot for Blade Runner. They're outtakes from The Shining. And so for that to be at the focus of your narrative just goes to show how rich and how well suited to your particular talents this universe is. And I think anybody hearing you talk about this in such an evocative way will have a really great time with the comics. And before we go, guys, I guess my final question would be, based on your experience with Black Lotus, are there any other stories within the Blade Runner universe that you'd like to tell in the future?
Well, I have another 4-issue miniseries that's going to be doing that continues from this, which will introduce more stuff.
Yeah.
And continue, follow her in her attempt to find out who she is, what she is, where she's from, why she's even here. I mean, she was basically created to be a weapon, but what does a weapon do after it's fulfilled its purpose, as far as the weapon maker is concerned? And secondly, what happens when the weapon gains autonomy and decides it doesn't want to be a weapon? And that's been one of the things, is that she's having been created basically as an assassin. She's decided that's not what she wants to be. She wants to try and build and create, as opposed to just be utilized as something to kill, and she just, the thing is, it's easier to destroy than build. And that's going to be part of her journey, is understanding that element of herself. Sometimes you have to raise your, defend. If are you killing to defend, or are you killing to just destroy?
Enid, what's your favorite thing about replicants and about the Blade Runner world itself? What interests you the most?
I think the concept of humanism, what's further, what's beyond the border, what are we becoming? See this synthetic life process, synthetic life, I mean, with Elle as a phenomenon, as a creature. See her process feelings, dreams, appealing for her senses in a world where maybe we humans are actually true cold and insensitive creatures. Adding to this dystopic scenario, is not difficult to see why Blade Runner has become an unprecedented, timeless, almost self-content style of a future, which many try to imitate.
That's very well said, brother. And thank you both of you for your very thoughtful and multi-layered answers to my very simplistic questions. I have to say that it's we're very proud of this comic. I'm just very proud of being privileged enough to publish your work within this universe. And I very much look forward to seeing what the reaction is going to be. I know it's going to be great. And I very much look forward to seeing what you're going to do moving forward. And you have been watching at home, Nancy Collins and Enid Balám, talking about Blade Runner Black Lotus from Titan Comics, and available from the links attached to our conversation at the base of the screen. Take care, you guys. It's lovely to chat with you. All the very best.
Thank you so much.
Right.
I'm pleased to meet you.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.